Welcome back. Another episode of the Up North Journal.
That's right, folks. It is Wednesday night, October. It is a gloomy 41 degrees here in Clio, Michigan, and I don't think it's raining anymore.
And it's almost Halloween, and it's episode 666.
Right?
I don't have my...
You getting the devil horns ready there?
I don't have my little plastic one, so that's what you get tonight.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Great.
666.
666. I tell you what.
Next week will be
that's right.
2/3 of the way to 1,000. It only took us 16 years to get there.
Right.
So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic.
You're doing fantastic.
Absolutely. Work's busy. We're busy here in the studio.
Yeah. And
we, I don't know, 442,000 deer have been...
442,000 deer have been killed?
42,000
I was going to say, man, the bull hunters are slaughtering them.
We'd be out of deer.
No kidding.
Right?
Tammy Delk's on with us tonight. Thanks for joining in, Tammy. Glad to have you aboard tonight. So,
there she is. Yeah, we're just, we're doing our little show prep. Deer harvest summary. Let's see. Live on the show tonight.
well, just to let everybody know, we're going to try something a little different tonight.
42,406 as of 7:32.
We'll save that for the end of the show, and hopefully it goes well. We'll see. You guys are going to be the judge of it, and we will find out. So,
right?
Stay tuned for that.
I did go online and I did purchase my patches for conservation for deer hunting.
Okay, like the ones I got here?
Yep.
Okay.
I went on there, purchased this year's. When you purchased them, you had some previous ones.
Yeah, that's this year's. This is no longer a successful hunter patch. This is a deer management 50th anniversary patch.
Right.
Deer management cooperator. So if you're paying to get the patch this year, then $8.
$8.
And then actually they had a couple extra ones that were available. They had the 2021. No, that's last year. That's the ones I got last year. The 2020 patch, which I did not get, so I bought 2 of those. And I don't know what happened to my other one I had here. Is this it? Yeah. Was this the one? Yeah. The 2000 patch. I bought one of those.
Yeah, when I looked, there was just... They were all gone, but for this year.
Yeah, well, these things are like gold.
I know, right?
I've got these. Well, not all the way back now. I mean, I think from like 2002, 3, or 4, all the way back to 1976.
And this year it says 50th anniversary, right? So
that's the cooperator, Michigan Deer Management Cooperator.
Right.
So, like I said, it's no longer a successful hunter patch. So.
Right.
So, for whatever that's worth. So, are you ready over there?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Well, let's get this thing going tonight and see what we can do. Here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight on a gloomy 40-something degree weather, rainy night here in Michigan with Dan DeFall.
Yeah, it's one of those evenings. It's kind of gloomy. It's low 40s right now, but I guess this weekend it's supposed to be mid-70s.
Yeah, mid-70s?
Yeah.
Okay, up north at Deer Camp, last I checked, they said 60, 65, so
right.
I'll take it. Hopefully going to be at camp this week.
Good.
Hopefully doing a little freezer filling.
I think I'm going to be heading up probably November. I think I don't know if I'll be able to make it for October. Got some things coming up, and I think we're just going to shoot for an extra long time up for November.
Okay.
Do some bow hunting, switch it right over to gun season.
All right.
But as we talked about it in our pre-show, we just looked. There's 42,000 registered deer, so they're laying down some smackdown on some deer out there.
That's good.
Right? So,
all right. Well, let's get into it tonight. Right. Let's take care of some business.
Let's do that. You know what? It's that time of year, folks, with Buck Baits, proud sponsor of the Up North Journal. You want 20% off. Go use the promo code UNJ20 over at buckbaits.com. You've seen us all use them here at Up North Journal. Easy Cuts. Get 15% off over there. UNJ15 off at easycutproducts.com. Then Lincoln Road and Packer Max. Packermax.com gets you $25 off over there using promo code UNJ25. The Island Armory. That's right, folks. Why not get a new gun this week, right?
I love it.
Right? You got 10% off your order over there. Use the promo code UNJ10. Gets you the 10% off over at theislandarmory.com. We talked to him just a couple weeks ago. Troublesome Creek Taxidermy. If you want a bird mounted right like this one we have right here on the live show, but you can't see it on the podcast, you want 10% off your order, use the promo code UNJ10. When you go to our website, there's a button below the advertisement where you can download the form and fill it out. You can get a hold of him and then go through what needs to be done to get that bird taken care of for you.
That's right. Give Scott a call.
That's right. JPO game calls. 10% off over there. UNJ10 gets you 10% off your order at jpogamecalls.com. I don't think Mr. Miller over at Miller Deer Tracking has slept at all. Get 20% off your tracking needs on your next track. UNJ20, give him a shout over at Miller Deer Tracking. Southern Indiana Bait Company gets you 10% off at their website, UNJ10, over there. And you're drinking pumpkin spice tonight.
No, Blaze Orange.
Blaze Orange, which AKA is pumpkin spice. 10% off over at deercampcoffee.com. And if you do that, you'll enjoy some nice hot coffee. And if you want, we can go all the way up to Newberry, where it's 33 degrees. It looks a little wet. Get over to Cedars, get a pizza, get some coffee. It'll be a great night for it, with it being only 33 degrees there.
It does look a little chilly up there. I thought you guys were supposed to get like a foot of snow.
West. We got some.
Yeah, okay.
We didn't. I don't think we got what the Superior Coast got.
All right. Bob Brown is in the cabin tonight with us. Nancy Jackson as well. So thanks for joining in. All right, where do you want to start tonight? What are you looking at? There's no snow on that.
So, no. Let's start. We touched on it a little bit. We'll save the numbers for the deer towards the end when we play the video. There was actually a question. That's kind of a good question.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was just trying to line it up in my head. Let's start. It's hunting season, but let's talk a little fishing.
Talk about the fishing?
Little theory you have, or your take.
You want to go
Mike's
there?
Take.
Okay.
Mike's take on.
This might take a minute, but
Well,
sit back,
right.
get your coffee.
Exactly. Enjoy your coffee. Enjoy your evening.
I asked Danny this earlier, and I perplexed him a little bit, so just follow me on this. So, obviously, everybody has already heard, because it's all across the nation on major news outlets, about the two gentlemen, well, I won't say gentlemen, the two guys that got busted down in Ohio. That was on the Lake Erie Walleye Tour, right?
Yes.
Isn't that the name of the tour?
Yes.
Okay.
In Ohio, they
stuffed the weights in the fish.
They were going for a grant. It was like $28,000.
Yeah, basically $30,000.
Yeah.
So they cheated. Okay. They were disqualified from the tournament.
Well, they got busted.
They told them that they didn't want them around. Get out of here. They called the cops. Cops came. Well, they've now been indicted. And call that up real quick. They were indicted on.
They were indicted. Okay,
like 4 charges.
So they were indicted in Ohio on criminal charges. Here we go. First, felony cheating.
Felony cheating.
Attempted grand theft and possessing criminal tools charges.
Mm-hmm.
They were also charged with unlawful ownership of wild animals.
Enemies.
Yeah, wild
Animals.
Unlawful ownership of wild animals.
Okay.
A misdemeanor, which is a misdemeanor.
Okay, so the first three: criminal tools, felony cheating, and grand larceny. Right?
Yep.
All right. So
Grand theft.
Grand theft. The tools were the weights they put in the fish, the lead weights. Okay. So now they're being indicted on felony charges.
Yes. And possessing, which unlawful ownership of wild animals.
Yeah, but that's a misdemeanor. That was the fillets. That was the fillets they stuffed inside.
Oh, okay, all right.
So okay, now follow me on this. So
I'm following you.
they cheated. They stuffed these weights in. Now, they were doing that to gain notoriety, to gain obviously prize money as well, and that was the big thing, was the money that they were trying to get unlawfully. So, what's the difference in that? And let's say major sports, where athletes or teams or coaches willfully cheat, circumvent the rules. Let's say NASCAR, where you can tamper with a car, you can take weight off it, shave weight to get the cars lighter, to go faster. You could bore the cylinder heads or the cylinders bigger to gain more horsepower. You could manipulate the wing on the back. You can manipulate so many things to make these cars go faster.
First of all, you have to pass inspection.
But
to get out there, but
people still race, and they don't get caught to the end.
Exactly.
Just like these guys did.
Right?
So they don't pass post-race inspection. What's the difference in that and what these guys did?
You know, that's a good question.
They're cheating willfully to gain money and points.
So why isn't when somebody, and I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this also, if somebody is accused of, I'm just going to pick track and field. And
doping?
Yes, a competitor is doping.
Yeah.
Well, the bicycle guy.
Tour de France.
Yes.
Lance Armstrong.
Yes, same guy. You know, doing the blood doping thing, whatever the heck it was. I know in that case they stripped him of everything.
But my question is, why don't they legally go after
that's a
teams
good
or athletes?
That's a very good question.
Willfully do this.
Now I know NASCAR itself will impose fines and points and stuff like that.
Baseball.
But how come
there's doping in baseball?
Right. How come there's no criminal charges?
That's my point.
Because they're trying to better themselves illegally
and gain money. That's my point.
Right. Exactly. I don't know. That's a very good question. Like
no, Tammy, there's no fraud charges, at least not right now.
So they also had a search warrant, and his Kaminsky's residence, and seized his boat and trailer.
Yes, they did.
So
and they are at an undisclosed location now, is what I read, under lock and key. So
the two guys?
No, the boat.
Oh, okay.
He's not getting the boat and trailer back.
Right, exactly. So, you know, I don't know what the difference would be, actually. I guess it would be up to, in this case, the fishing tournament director, or whoever did call the police and pushed it for charges to be levied against them. Now, we don't know who that was.
No.
Or Ohio took it upon themselves because obviously this was national news.
Yeah.
But so was NASCAR, right?
Right.
I know in NASCAR they one race, and I can't remember what it was, but it was blatantly that something was different on two cars of the same team. And sure enough, at the end of the race, post inspection, they were disqualified first and second, and now the third place winner got the win. But why not have the police come in? You cheated. Why?
Well, this is the first time that I have ever heard of people that actually cheated in any kind of tournament or any kind of event where there was prize money being indicted.
Do you think it was because of the amount of money being sought?
It's grand larceny.
Right.
You know, it's over $1,000. So you know that's my point. Is there's always money involved in sports. Number one. There's prize money to be won at the end. Players who make it to the playoffs, they get bonuses.
Right, you get bonuses how far you go, right?
Yeah, bigger contracts, whatever.
So if one of those guys were caught cheating, why isn't the law being called? They just get a baseball, they get a year suspension, 180 game ban. Why? That's an interesting take to look at it that way, as to why the authorities are being brought in on this case and not other cases.
Yeah.
Which,
well, I think they should be brought in. I mean, what these guys did was wrong. I mean, they were blatantly trying to circumvent the rules and take the win and take the prize money. But that, for whatever reason, when they were indicted, I was I can't remember if I was sitting at work or here at the house or whatever, but as soon as I read that, I thought immediately, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, what if somebody else cheats in another sport? You know, and are they going to be, is this the precedent-setting case now that is going to open this up for people who cheat, whether it be in sports or something else? Are they going to now be subject to being indicted on charges?
Okay, let's take something that happened here in Michigan. The 460 pounds of salmon caught by Colorado the guys were from Colorado. They caught the 460 pounds of salmon illegally up at the Tippy Dam.
Yeah, but that's not cheating, though. That's just blatantly taking over the limit.
But weren't they cheating the system?
I don't know if you're cheating the system. The system is the system. I mean, you're only allowed so many fish. I mean, there's no prize money involved here. This is about just taking the meat.
You're breaking the law.
Yeah, and they're going to be charged for it.
Right, just like.
But this is a whole different thing.
So that's why I'm trying to put what the fishermen did in trying to gain prize money, as opposed to what these guys from Colorado did by overfishing.
Yeah, to me that's stealing.
Pounds. Okay, stealing. There you go. That's good. You're
me,
stealing from the resources. Right?
You're stealing from the resources. You're stealing from the state. You're stealing from. Actually, we own those fish.
Right.
In the state of Michigan, those are the public's fish. We all have ownership in the outdoors. So yeah, to me that's flat out stealing.
So Tammy says it's because crimes were committed on public water versus private property.
Crime, but you say crime. A crime's a crime. If somebody steals something out of a store, and it's over $1,000, it's grand larceny. That's private property.
Right, and they get.
Maybe that's why the police were called in the first place. That I don't know. I think the police were called in probably for their protection, but because they wanted to beat those guys down.
I think it was literally at first was their protection, because in the video, which was very, very interesting to watch, even the tournament director's like, just let them go, just leave now and nobody touch them, because it could go wrong real quick. And I think somebody called the cops, and literally, where the cops were between them and the rest of the group.
Right.
So,
and like Tammy says too, that over limits fall under poaching.
Right.
It's basically stealing, game animals.
So it will be interesting to see how much of the punishment they receive, which could be up to. They face up to 12 months in prison, up to a $2,500 in fines.
$25 in fines to me is not enough because they're trying to steal $30,000.
And okay, so 12 months
or
$2,500. Also 30 days and $250 for the misdemeanor part.
Okay.
So depending on what they do, I'm sure they'll plead it.
Nancy's asking who exactly is pressing charges. It's they were arrested in the state of Pennsylvania. I believe the charges are being they're being charged in the state of Ohio because that's they were in Ohio waters on Lake Erie when they committed.
Yes, it was. They were indicted in Ohio. Yep. So Ohio is pressing the charges.
But they got I guess they're from Pennsylvania, and they had Pennsylvania law enforcement actually confiscate the boat and do some of the investigation on that end. Tammy says that police presence was already there according to one interview of one of the two promoters. So
lucky them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're the guys that got to take them in and deal with that. So
right, but
but back to the point: is this going to be a precedent-setting case now, and will it spill over into sports? I
think it'll take one, and this might be the one to start that. I really do, because now that you mention it, anything over $1,000, right? And obviously, depending on what sport, it could be even bigger money.
Yeah.
And really, these tournaments like this one was $30,000, and those the Bass Masters and the other ones, the walleye ones, a lot more money's out there. So I think you might be looking at something pretty precedent to say, okay, you were caught cheating. Now we're gonna call the law of the state and say, hey, you guys need to take care of this because it's over X amount.
They're also, not that it really matters, people who who are going to cheat or poach or whatever, if they're going to break the law, they're going to break the law. But they are going to lose their license probably for the rest of their lives. And the way game laws and game agencies work now, there's reciprocity from one state to the other. You lose your license in one state, in your home state, or in another state you're visiting, that's going to follow you to wherever you go to try to obtain a hunting or a fishing license somewhere else. So.
Right, and I wonder if that's
There was off-duty officers there, so they called it in. They called it in for the tournament. Okay, so that makes sense.
And I hope so, because whether they did it in their home state or not their home state, like you said, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Just because you did it in another state doesn't make it okay in your own state, right?
Right.
Like
exactly.
I hope what these guys from Colorado
Yeah.
face when they back in Colorado, they should have their licenses revoked as
So.
well.
Little bit of backing up on that
All
story,
right.
just a little bit. So we'll actually, I tell you what, we're gonna step outside. We're gonna take our first break. We'll come back. I want to pick up on this story of the salmon that were poached.
There you go.
We're gonna step outside. And we'll be right back after this.
All right, folks. Great conversation in the chat tonight. Adam Wynn is back from the woods.
So, with everybody out there that's watching and chatting away, do you think that this case will set a precedent going forward for other cheaters in other sports or other tournaments, outdoor tournaments or anything else?
I think so.
I mean, if you get caught cheating at chess, I don't know.
Which I think there was.
I'm just saying, as ridiculous as that sounds.
Right?
So, I don't know. I don't know. It popped up in my head, and I just started thinking about it. And I'm like, I don't see why it would be any different. That's my point, I guess. Cheating's cheating, and if you're out to gain something by it, and it's a substantial amount of money, then, hey, you get what you deserve. All right, here we go. Stand by. All right, we're back. Second segment. When we went to the break there, we were talking about stuff that was going on with the fishing tournament, and then it kind of led into the stuff that happened up here in Michigan. That was about 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly. At Tippy Dam, there was a group of guys from Colorado that were taking well over their limit in salmon, and they were caught with 460 pounds of salmon.
Yep. And on the bright side, those fish were donated to local families that they could be taken care of.
So the fish did not go to waste, which is a good thing. So,
exactly. So the DNR were alerted from another angler, notified them of a group that was downriver was using illegal methods and equipment to take the fish.
probably snagging,
That's what
I imagine. Mr. Steiner is joining us tonight. Welcome aboard, Denny.
Right? They did not have a valid fishing license to start off with.
Yeah.
They were using illegal tackle and had 17 salmon taken by illegal methods. Once discovered, the fishermen admitted to taking other fish. They found 40 to 50 more salmon back at their vehicles that had already been filleted.
So, the weekend that happened, that was on a Saturday, and I believe it was Saturday the 7th, 8th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, somewhere right around there. I don't know if it gives an exact date. This story come out later in the week. But the weekend that happened on a Saturday afternoon. We were camping in Manistee, and we wanted to kayak the Manistee River.
Oh, okay.
We wanted to kayak a section that we hadn't done yet. So we were looking for our put-in and takeout spot and just scouting. And it was a stretch between Tippy Dam and Rainbow Bend, if anybody's familiar with Manistee. So first place I go, boogity up to Tippy Dam. And as usual, they call it combat fishing.
Right?
They're elbow to elbow. Everybody's in the water, and I told Nancy, I said, just stay in the truck here with the dog because it's. Have you ever been to Tippy Dam?
Yeah, I think I have. It's been a while.
So you walk the path. It's a big drop, and then all of a sudden you get to the stairs, the cement stairs, and then down, 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 down.
Right.
175 to be exact.
Oh, you counted them, eh?
Until I got to the platform. Okay.
All right.
And you get to the platform, wooden platform, then it's wooden stairs down to the river.
Okay.
Which is probably another 100, maybe.
Okay.
it's a long way down.
Yeah, it's
It's the march up and down the stairs. And I remember I had been there one other time. I actually fished there, first time I had ever fished for big fish.
Okay.
Anyway, so I took a couple pictures from down there just so I could show her when I got back. Look how many people are down there. It's crazy. Yeah, we're not going to be putting in here anywhere, but I just kind of wanted to check things out there at the dam to see how much pressure the river had, because that would kind of dictate what was going on downstream.
Okay. Yeah.
And we talked to a local that had just come up, and he's like, yeah, you go down to the first put in, which I think was High Bridge, and he said, you're going to run into some fishermen, you're going to run into some boats that are fishing, but you should be able to maneuver with kayaks very easily downstream. There's not going to be quite the pressure there is here. So, coming back up, dude, there's fish slime, there's fish scales, there's fish eggs everywhere on these steps going up and down.
Right.
And the stench. And this story come out. And I remember, I think it happened in that general vicinity. It didn't happen right there, but there was a guy at the top of the stairs who had 5 fish, and I think it's a 5 fish limit.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that. Don't quote me, but he had 5 fish there. And I'm thinking, this guy, he brought these fish all the way from the river. I had just come up 200 steps.
Right.
To get to the path. And he was right there at the edge of the path. It still had to go up, and you could tell he was just wrung out.
Right. He's like, yeah, enough of this, right?
So I couldn't imagine how many that they were bringing.
Right, up there. Well, they said they were downstream some. So, you're right, Nancy. You probably kayaked right by these guys.
Could have.
You wouldn't have known it, right?
No, would not have known. I didn't see anybody snagging. I saw a lot of people fishing, but I didn't see any illegal methods. And back in the day, everybody snagged.
Oh yeah,
I remember being a kid going up with a family and friends, and I remember watching up from the high bank, and everybody that's what everybody did.
Yeah,
they
snag fest, right?
They caught fish left and right. But anyway, long story short, there's a distinct action on the rod that you know what's going on.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, long story short, we were there when that happened.
And you wouldn't have known it unless like this DNR officer was tipped off.
Right. And went in. Yep.
And then he had probable cause to ask these guys. And I think what really screwed them, besides obviously overfishing, but they didn't have licenses.
Oh, they didn't even have a fishing license.
They didn't have a valid fishing license.
Oh, geez.
So,
so strike 1, 2, and 3.
Well, that's it, right? Real quick, they did not have valid fishing licenses.
Nancy says next time she's going to take their lines and not be her courteous, usual pleasant self. She is pleasant when she's on the water.
I'm sure she is. But, they might have actually got away with it if they would have been licensed, had just what they had, but obviously they were tipped off by somebody else.
If they were using illegal tackle, they would have gone for that.
That's where they would have got him, right? He would have went down. You got a license. What kind of tackle you're using? How many have you caught?
I'm actually surprised that they told the story says they told the DNR that they had other fish. I mean, to me that was just like,
oh no, this is all I got.
Yeah, I mean, how many times you see that?
Right?
Northwoods Law or whatever. It's like, no, this is all I got. Well, let's go check your truck. But if they had them filleted out already back at the house, I'm really surprised that they actually fessed up.
Right? They admitted to taking other fish right off the bat.
Yeah.
So they came clean, and they found 40 to 50 more back at their vehicles. Mm-hmm. So they didn't even take them anywhere. They're still in their...
Oh, they were at the vehicles. Okay.
They're at the vehicles, so coolers or wherever they were.
Yeah, they probably would have gotten searched anyway.
Right. Exactly.
How many fishermen were there, did it say?
Blah, 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 blah.
2, 3, 4, 5.
It just says fishermen.
Okay, didn't say. All right.
They say a group.
So anyway, two bad black eyes on the fishing industry, or fishermen, or the fishing outdoors here in a couple weeks' time. One's down on Lake Erie with the 2 guys pulling their boneheaded move at the tournament, and then you've got these guys out of Colorado coming to Michigan, and up on the Manistee.
And it
Doing
says right
this.
here, last line says, had the group been properly licensed and used illegal gear, they could have taken 30 of them,
Legally. So
for the day, and then they
that's-
could have went home or whatever.
Well, that's probably, I'm going to say that's probably six of them then, because I find, don't quote me, but I think the limit's 5 a day, I think. on salmon.
And that's one of the things is,
Or if it's 3, then it's a whole lot of people.
was it worth it?
No.
Especially if it's going to hurt them not only here in Michigan. I'm hoping it's a ban.
Colorado's got reciprocity with Michigan.
So
I'm
I'm
99%
hoping,
sure. on that.
they're going to take care of it.
And that stuff follows you around now. All these state game agencies are all interconnected now. And once you get busted in a state, and if you do something that's a major violation where you lose a license for a period of time, you're going to lose it in your home state as well.
Well, that's good. That's obviously in both these situations, crime doesn't pay.
Nope.
So, but they're gonna be fined whatever they're gonna be fined for the fish, lose their licenses. I doubt there'll be a jail time for the purpose of just stealing fish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So they get it taken care of, and then what happens? Go into our first segment talking about when there's big money involved.
Yeah. Well, it's just greed. It's how often do we see, we see antler envy, we see, fish envy. I swear, the outdoors brings out some of the worst in people. My fish, my hunting spot, my fishing area, my fishing hole. You're standing in my spot, or the guy that comes in on you and will not give you, like on public land, won't give you room to hunt or fish.
Because you might shoot his deer.
That quote unquote courtesy area offer.
It's public land. Literally,
Yeah.
they could sit next to you.
Yeah, but common sense says.
Well, common sense, you give them a little bit of buffer, wave, acknowledge them that you know that they're there, so you don't get into any of that.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
This brings up a point, a point in my head. I'm just thinking. I remember the first time I went out on public land to deer hunt, rifle season, with my dad. I was 14. I remember it vividly. Anyway, so if you're hunting public land and let's say it's an afternoon hunt, so you can actually physically see people in orange, and you're rifle hunting for deer, how far away is that common courtesy area? What is that safe buffer for you? If you walk in somebody sitting, how far are you going to walk away?
That's a good question, because I remember hunting Port Huron one opening day with my brother, and basically when it got light, it was a pumpkin patch.
Yep.
And you literally, where we were walking to what we thought would be a good spot, flashlights kept going off.
Yep.
And so we ended
In the
up,
dark, that's what happens. People
Right.
flashlight.
So we ended up at a spot that we were just like, okay. And literally, I would say the closest one at that point was probably 150, 200 yards.
Okay.
We could see him sitting. There was another guy. He was a little bit further down the fence row. But there was 3 or 4 guys that was visibly we could see within that field. It was a pretty big field, but still.
You were in a shotgun zone.
Yes.
I think that makes somewhat of a difference too.
Absolutely. Well, does it now though when you can use?
Not down here, it doesn't anymore.
Right.
But I'm saying back then.
So that's also another good thing to think of when you're hunting like that in the rifle zone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want to be that close? Or I would prefer to be long gone. And it came in Mayo. It happened. We were sitting out there one morning. We heard the car come up. All of a sudden, guy comes. We could hear the commotion. The guy comes up with a flashlight, shines the light, and we're there. And he's like, ugh. And then he just left.
Mm-hmm.
But we spread out. We were a good 300 yards, 200 yards from each other, around a hill.
I'm surprised it wasn't closer than that.
Right?
I remember that first year I hunted. I was 14. It was 100, 150 yards at best. I could see 3 different people.
And I definitely, when I do that, if I know that there's a hunter in X direction, I put my back to the tree
Right.
against him.
And I think terrain might make it a little bit difference. If there's a hill,
Right.
you know, you're going to go over the hill. You know, you can probably get 150 yards away. If you're shooting, you know, if he's facing this way and the hill's behind him, and you go over the hill the other way and there's nobody there, you're going to be hunting the other way. I think that might play a little difference, play differently into how far away you actually are.
I had a guy when I was hunting with Kelly down here in the lower, 50 yards.
Mm-hmm.
We put our back up against the trail on the other side of an oak tree. We were watching the woods. We called it a night, and we turned around, and I literally stepped on the trail, and I looked, and he was facing me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
What are you going to do, shoot it out from underneath me?
I really wanted to say something, but I had Kelly with me. We just said, let's just get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't need to be having this guy see something he thinks is going to be a game animal.
Adam Wynn says that, yes, it was 5 fish on Lake Michigan.
So
I don't know
30
about
would be
six
six.
people.
Yeah.
6 people.
So, and you're right, Tammy. They didn't care to get a license, so they really don't care about the laws to begin with.
Exactly.
They already had the illegal fishing equipment with them.
Yep.
So, you know what they're purposely going in to do,
Yep. Steal fish.
right?
So.
But, you know, that's a big thing on public land. I know we used to hunt up in Port Huron. Opening day, I can guarantee you, the lady was going to come riding her horse through the public land.
Mm-hmm. We had that in an area down near Brighton when I hunted down there with some guys. Yep. There was horse trails. I never personally saw it, but one of the guys I was hunting with saw it.
Yeah, you hear that thunder.
Yep.
And he's like, "What is that?" And here she's wearing a vest, and she had
The horse had a vest?
the horse had a vest too, and
Yeah.
she's just riding along. And I'm like, "Well, it's public land.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want,
Yeah. There's a big deer coming.
right?" I don't know
That's a
how
big deal.
confident I'd be going out on that day, but you know, it is what it is. You deal with it.
Well, we've run into it over at Seven Lakes during turkey season.
for sure, right?
You know, people walking. We come out in full camo, and during turkey season, for people that may be watching or listening that don't know, in the state of Michigan, you don't have to wear hunter's orange, and most people, and we don't wear hunter's orange when we're turkey hunting. And you walk out, you got full face camo on, you know, camo paint. It looks like you're playing war games. You come out of the brush, and you got your shotgun slung over your shoulder, and people look at you like, where did you come from and why are you here?
Right, exactly. And you know, it's kind of getting warm, so people
Yeah.
are getting that itch to take that walk.
Take
or
their dogs out.
Take their dogs out. I've had dogs, people. We've had just about everything. Well, you had helicopters too, but
Yeah, I had a lady in pink jogging pants and a little fluffy dog walk between me and my decoys.
right?
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. You really? You don't see those decoys right there. 20 yards in front of me.
You know, those pretty little turkeys aren't moving.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know, there again, it is interesting when you are faced with that, especially if you're also hunting. You go out hunting like turkey hunting. Opening day, you've scouted the area all week, making sure that where you want to be, and your blind set. You go out there, and all of a sudden there's another blind.
Yeah, right next to it.
Right?
Or in the same proximity.
I literally had that over there in Holly. You know, I was in the back, so I had to turn down the trail, and right at the beginning of the trail, here was a blind.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, it's state land, and that's the thing about hunting state land. It's, you know, but I think common courtesy, give that guy or gal some space.
right, exactly. And,
Yeah.
and all you had to
Some
do was
space.
walk 100 yards in, and you would have found my blind,
Yeah.
which was fine. He was the Energizer Bunny caller, so whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're running a little long here on this segment, so let's go ahead and we'll wrap this segment up. We're going to take our second break, and we'll be right back after this.
All right, excellent conversation. Yeah, it's just basically, you know, you sit there and some things that make you go, huh? Or like in this case, Mike's thought process on what's next in the outdoor world or in tournament world if
Yeah.
people are caught cheating.
Well, you know, it's like, this is on a whole different subject, but you and my son were talking about something today, right before the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, the law of unintended consequences. It always, that seems to rear its ugly head up, that something will happen and you're like, yeah, you know, lower the boom on them, or man, yeah, that's the right thing to do. And all of a sudden, something spins up out of it. It's like, wait a minute, that I didn't see that coming.
No, literally,
It's a law of unintended consequences.
Exactly, and when things happen like that, you're running down that path, and something like that happens. I tell you what, it's going to make them stop and think.
Yeah.
And I know what'll happen. I can bet you dollars. I'll bet you a few donuts on that one. But it's just like, well, we thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. Generally speaking, I do think it's. I mean, yeah. Lower the boom on these guys, hammer them, and maybe it will make other people think, before they. I mean, a blatant, willful circumventing of the rules, cheating.
We've had
There's no question
we've
about
had that in all the industries. Some have lost their jobs over it.
Yeah.
Years later, matter of fact.
Yeah.
Something happened. They did an investigation. They traced it back to this person gave the go-ahead.
I mean, take this ahead 5 years from now, and we have Deflategate again.
Right?
Of a football being deflated. Does different things. The rules say it's got to be between this and this.
Yep.
And
well, where does it stop, right?
It's a slippery slope.
It's always going to be that.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, is this going to lead to other things?
I think it will. I think it's setting precedents that they'll go back to the case 2022 Ohio tournament fishers.
Yeah.
So we're going to prosecute you against that.
Yeah.
And they'll pull that out. And this, now that it's on the books, would not be surprised that this becomes a more regular thing if you are caught cheating as red-handed as they did.
True.
I mean, it was blatantly in the bucket.
Yeah.
Weights and extra fish. There was no way that you could say.
They ate those.
Yeah. Or what if they had used ice?
Yeah.
Ooh,
that's a good one. Never thought of that.
What if you crammed that fish full of ice?
Yeah. Never thought about that.
And then weigh them. All right.
The point was, they didn't just do a little bit.
Oh, no.
They did a whole lot.
Well, that's it, right? So if you use ice, it would melt.
Yeah.
You don't have no.
I hope it melts after the fact.
Yeah, it melts and you have no evidence.
Wow. Denny says he's got a million of those stories from 50-some years of hunting. I imagine that's talking about being set up on too close or somebody coming in and setting up next to you or what have you. So
that's right. And like Denny says, 50-plus years of hunting. I'm sure he's got a few good stories.
We still got to visit him.
Yeah,
Denny, we haven't forgot about that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we need to talk to you about your recent trip. So
right.
We need to talk here in the next week or two and schedule that. So.
Yeah, we'll get you on.
All right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. All right, we're back. Third segment of the show.
Folks, you're listening to the podcast.
You missed it.
You're missing what's on the live feed, or you're missing what's on YouTube. What we talk about in the breaks that you just heard, the commercials from the podcast, but on the live feed, we talked about something totally different. So you got to go back and watch that, or watch the YouTube part to catch what we talked about.
There you go.
So
where do you want to go now?
I think, let's see, we talked about our fish. We talked about our...
Do you want to try to play the video?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that video segment.
All right. So we're going to try something new here tonight.
So, how we've talked on the show, we've talked with Lincoln, we've talked with a whole bunch of people, Kip Adams,
Chad Stewart.
We've talked about deer population and how do we get to whether the numbers they're looking for. Right now, Michigan's enjoying their first mandatory check season, 42,000 as of tonight. Now, to answer Tammy's question, do you think that is more than you expected to be at
this
the
point?
19th day of October, about a month and a half into seasons?
Okay, so typically, what do we shoot here in Michigan? Between 200 and 250,000 deer?
Yeah, it's about that, yep.
So let's just say 200,000 deer. So we're already at 20% in the first part of bow season, the first couple weeks, and a couple of special hunts, yeah, I'm actually shocked that it's that much. Yeah, I am.
I kind of like it. I think it's a good.
My question is, let's say we have a great year this year. Most everybody does the mandatory check-in. We get our numbers back, and what if there's 350,000?
Right.
Then what? What does that do to all the previous numbers?
Well, that kind of, this is going to set a precedent. Here we go, setting a precedence, right? Here we are, first year mandatory deer check. You got the non-believers, believers, whatever you want to do. But all of a sudden, that number now is high. All of a sudden, like you just said, 350,000. Oh, wait, we shoot on average 200,000.
Why are we shooting so many more deer? I don't think we're shooting more deer. I think we're counting more deer.
I think, yep.
If that's the case.
If
And we're not saying that's what's going to happen.
We have no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. We'll have to give Chad Stewart a call after seasons, in February, March. Say, hey, we just looked at the numbers. Well, you had, this is the third year, or is this the beginning of the three? I don't remember what he said. But is this a good swag, or is this a, wow, this is a good thing?
Eye-opener, yeah.
An eye-opener leading into next season. Next season, we hope to see just as good, if not better, reporting. I think if this leads to better numbers, more efficient numbers, then it helps them make the decision.
What does better numbers mean? Does it mean more deer, or does it mean more deer report? I mean, to me, what I hope it leads to is better deer management. Overall herd management.
The overall, that's what it's supposed to lead to.
Yeah.
Better counts equals better deer management. Better specific deer management in zones. Better control of what's being taken care of, shot. Better numbers of looking at maybe disease or not.
Right. Well, I'm going to throw one at you, and actually I did this earlier tonight too, but I'm going to put it out there. So what I'd like to do is the morning of the 15th is I want to snapshot what's been shot right before daylight, okay, what's been reported, okay, for archery season. And then at the end of the season, I want to snapshot.
Oh, for gun season.
For gun season.
The 15-day gun season.
Yep, and do the same thing there. And then I want to go back and I want to look at the not the total, but the percentage of does shot to bucks in archery season versus the percentage of does shot to bucks in gun season. And my theory is, this is my own personal theory, that archery hunters will typically shoot a higher percentage of does to buck ratio than rifle hunters. That's just me.
No, that's, and you get a 72-hour swag. So December 3rd, you can take that last snippet and say, okay, that's your 72-hour reporting window. So from the 15th to the 3rd, this should be roughly our gun season.
Right. Yeah.
Because we still got a couple days before muzzleloaders kick off. Right. So,
and then maybe do that for muzzleloaders. It'd just be interesting to me to see what the dynamics are. And I would tend to say muzzleloading season is probably going to be more exclusively for bucks than rifle season or bow season, percentage-wise.
Right.
That's just my thought.
Tammy says, Chad said this was year one. So maybe this will be a 3-year of seeing reality numbers.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, let's look. Now they can do exactly what you said. They'll break up the October 1st through November 15th, and they'll be able to tell you what you got then. Gun season, they'll break it down.
Yeah, I understand. Tammy says got a good point. Crossbow users can use a crossbow day one to day end, and actually archery hunters can too. You can actually use a bow during firearm deer season, but you have to wear hunter's orange.
You have to follow the gun rules when using a bow.
You can actually have a gun and a bow with you.
All right.
In your bag or in your blind with you. I talked to a CO about this, and he's like, you can have a golf bag full of firearms to take with you into the woods. Use whatever you want.
Right.
As long as you're wearing a hunter's orange. There's no limit. Because one year I had taken my bow out to my blind for gun season,
Okay.
And I had actually left it in the blind overnight, and then I had my rifle with me, and everybody's like, "What are you doing? What's that for?" And I said, "If I get a doe up close, I got a doe tag. That way, I shoot her with the bow. No, nothing else hears it. I got a doe down, and then I can rifle hunt, and I can shoot long distance for the buck."
Right? Exactly.
They looked at me like I was weird, but I thought it was a pretty good idea.
It's an excellent idea. Well, it's that opening morning, you see a coyote.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to ruin my morning.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. But if he's close enough bow range.
Yeah. Oh, I did that about 4 years ago on opening morning. I smoked a coyote. I shot him with that 7mm rim mag and blew a hole the size of your hat in it.
Right? Exactly. So, we talk about these numbers, and who was it that said we needed to shoot a third of our does?
That Dr. James Kroll.
James Kroll.
When we've done some work, we didn't do the work. We went up and watched him do the work.
Yeah, he did do the work.
And that's just to maintain an overall healthy herd, to maintain the average number of deer. As far as the population goes, you need to shoot a third of your does, and we learned that also with Anna Mitterling, doing all those deer management studies with her.
And a big shout out to Dr. Deer himself, who's recovering from heart surgery.
That's right.
So saw a couple posts on that. He's out, I think, now.
Yeah, he went home this week.
Oh, good. So we're gonna play a video courtesy of the Michigan DNR.
When we do this, type in the chat. Let us know if our audio level's right on this or not, because we kind of play with this a little bit. So this is something totally new for us, and we hope this works. So hang on just a second, Danny. Are you ready?
I think I am.
Okay, hit play.
Are thinking having such a high limit on antlerless licenses and doing away with antlerless quotas by county in lower Michigan. Don't they know this will destroy the deer herd? The good news is it would be nearly impossible for hunters in Michigan to wipe out the deer herd, even with the ability to harvest a greater number of does than in the past. How do we know this? Because considerable research conducted on deer population dynamics in Midwestern states, including Michigan, shows this to be the case. Population dynamics are extremely complex, but we're going to attempt to explain them with a very simplified example. Based on knowledge from previous research, hypothetically, let's say a Michigan county with deer habitat of mixed agriculture and woodlands has a population of 10,000 deer broken down by 5,000 does, 2,500 bucks, and 2,500 fawns. Believe it or not, that population could withstand a harvest of around 40% every year and still be stable. How is this possible? We're glad you asked. Quite simply, deer are very good at replenishing their numbers. Although hunters in Michigan tend to shoot slightly more antlered males than antlerless deer, to be conservative with our hypothetical population, let's assume that 40% harvest is distributed across the bucks, does, and fawns in the population. At the end of the hunting season, those 5,000 does are now 3,000 does. Those 2,500 bucks are now 1,500 bucks. And those 2,500 fawns are now 1,500 fawns, leaving us with a total population of 6,000 deer from the original 10,000. Of the remaining 3,000 does, about 2,900 live to produce about 5,510 fawns that summer. Of those, around 85% or 4,685 fawns should survive to the next hunting season. Those 2,900 does are also joined by 750 doe fawns from last year, giving us a total of 3,650 adult does. Of those, around 95% or 3,470 should survive to the next hunting season. The 1,500 remaining bucks that survived the previous hunting season are joined by 750 fawn bucks that remain, giving us a total of 2,250 adult bucks. Of those, about 85% or 1,910 should survive to the next hunting season. When we do the math for the deer surviving to the next hunting season, we end up with 10,065 deer populating our hypothetical county, a net gain of 65 deer from the previous year. But what if the harvest is well over 40%, you ask? In reality, we don't see harvest rates that high, so we're unlikely to see it surpassed for a variety of reasons. In the year 2000, we had about 800,000 deer hunters in Michigan. Today we have fewer than 600,000, a decline of over 32% in just 20 years, and a trend seen in states across the country. Over the next 10 years, Michigan is expected to lose another 100,000 deer hunters, with other states seeing similar declines. Currently, about 50% of our hunters are successful in harvesting a deer, but only 16% of those harvest 2 or more deer, and less than 6% harvest 2 or more antlerless deer. And only 0.5% of hunters harvest 4 or more antlerless deer in Michigan. In 2003, we saw our highest antlerless harvest of the 2000s, with 240,401 antlerless deer harvested in the state. Today, we harvest about 166,000 antlerless deer statewide, or nearly 31% less than 20 years ago. In the northern Lower Peninsula, where large antlerless quotas have existed for decades, the antlerless deer harvest during the deer season ranges from only 2.5 to 3.8 antlerless deer harvested per square mile in those counties. When it comes to uncontrollable factors like severe winters in the north, seasonal EHD in the south, and predators that have localized impacts, especially on fawns, our system of deer management also allows for changes to areas where research or harvest statistics indicate a significant decline might be occurring. Our goal is to ensure that deer and deer hunting, like other natural resources and outdoor activities in Michigan, can be enjoyed by future generations for many years to come. For more information on deer and deer hunting in Michigan, visit michigan.gov/deer. Especially on fawns, our system of deer management also allows...
Alrighty. So that's from our Michigan DNR, and I will say, I thought they did a pretty good job on the video.
You know, I
Other than the fact, I will say, the only thing I didn't like about it is they built it for a cell phone, to watch on a cell phone instead of watching straight up on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
And they use the correct looking deer, not the ones we have on our signs.
That's right. And they also, they talked about the reproduction. They had the little heart above them. So
Oh, wasn't that cute? Yeah.
that must be the rut.
That was the rut.
Okay.
Right?
So,
Troublesome Creek, I hear the video, not you guys. Perfect. That's
Okay.
exactly what we wanted.
all right. So, with that being said, the reason we showed you that is the DNR wanted to obviously dispel some myths about overshooting the herd this year, because they're handing out supposedly a lot of tags that you can get up to 10 doe tags. But as you see from the video, the percentage of people that take more than 4 deer is less than 0.5%. We're not in danger of overshooting the herd. And we've learned from Dr. Kroll, that 1/3 of our doe population needs to be taken every year in order, in general, to maintain the herd population
And
at the current level.
I think the really telling number in there is the hunter decline number.
That's the part that really scares me.
Well, that just confirms that we're probably not shooting what we need to be shooting.
Exactly.
And as that number trends downward, unfortunately, the deer numbers are probably going to go up, which means when Mother Nature decides to do her nasty, it's going to be nasty.
Yep.
And I've seen it in the UP. But, you know, it just goes to show you that if you work the math, and, you know, they were using a 40% number.
That's pretty broad.
Right.
And it's across the whole population, not just the does.
Right.
You know, so now they're showing you how they're using the math to calculate, you know, the population of what they expect to reproduce, what they expect for your fawn recruitment, for your predation, for hunter take,
And
all that.
they got numbers in there for weather, predator.
It's a general overall number, and to show you that we're not in danger. I mean, you think about shooting 40% of the herd, and if you shot it straight across the board, just a straight 40%, you know,
If you had a
1
million deer in the...
Yeah. It's...
Yeah, and shoot
they wound up
40%.
actually with more by using their formulas.
Yes.
And Dr. Kroll, he showed us this same thing. Actually, Wayne Sitton did. I take that back. I was at a seminar.
Yes.
With
the video.
With Wayne Sitton, who works with Dr. Kroll from the Turtle Lake Lodge. Anyway, the numbers, you have to shoot a substantial amount of deer to crush the population and have it go in decline. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, we see it every year, and Tammy brought up a good point. Those numbers on the deer side going up is going to put a heavy burden on the habitat.
Absolutely. Over browse. You see it at my place constantly.
you see overbrowse, and then that's going to lead to bad winters, which, you're right. And how many times do we hear that we hear summer crop permits that are out there that people are shooting?
Yep.
I think that's a little... I don't like how they do it. I wish there was a better way to do it and get that meat to people who really need it.
Absolutely. We've heard horror stories of things.
Yeah.
Whether they're true or not, it just puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Right, exactly. But, right. The way the math, and I think they did a great job again, showing the numbers, using a 40% number. We actually ended up with more deer than we started with.
Yeah. And that's shooting 40% of the herd.
Right. So
I do think maybe the fawn recruitment it might be a little high, at 85% getting into the next year.
I think
it's
that's
not typically that high.
I think that's very. There's so many factors into that, and that literally because we got the 3 regions in Michigan. Literally, Region 1 up in the UP can be totally different than Region 3 down in the South.
Yeah.
And because I know one year, a few years back, they said we had 0 fawns for the year. Then that year I got a deer. It was a couple years later I got a deer. They aged it and said, wow.
That's one that made it.
We didn't think that group made any.
Yeah.
And he made it through.
Yeah.
So,
I guess my big takeaway from this is to dispel myths about overshooting deer here in Michigan.
it does seem like a lot. It's a number, right? 10. 10 doe permits. Here, Mike. Here's 10 doe permits.
Yeah.
Go shoot 10 of them.
To me, it's the DNR's way of saying, look, there's mathematical models that generally, we're not saying exactly, but generally speaking, this is how this works. And they've done this for years, and Dr. Kroll has done the same thing and showed it, and the math works. So we don't have to worry about overshooting. To me, the bigger takeaway from this is also shoot the does.
Right. Right.
And they're shooting them into a 1-to-1 ratio. If you shoot them, with bucks, bucks can breed more does. You know what I'm saying? I mean, one buck can breed more does.
Yeah, right. Well,
so
that's it, right?
That's where we run into the problem of the second, the third rut. So my thing is look at that, shoot the older does. It helps keep that herd in balance, and it takes more mouths off the table, and you don't wind up with a bunch of overbrowse.
If you shoot a doe, you shoot a doe. But if you have the opportunity to shoot an older age doe out of 2, take the older one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've learned that once the deer have lost their spots, have been weaned, they're good to go.
Yep.
They're
you get to bow season, they're good to go.
They're good to go. The older does, we've learned with Dr. Kroll, will throw twin does.
Yeah, the numbers are astronomical. Right. It's like 80% of the time, you get a doe into that 4th, 5th year of age, will start throwing twin doe fawns. The percentage is higher than being a doe buck fawn at a younger age. Don't ask me how nature knows an older doe versus younger doe.
Well, what is it? What did he say? The does that make the fawn in the year that makes it past 80 days can go into the breeding cycle.
Yes, if they're born in first rut.
And she'll throw
from a first rut buck.
I can't remember the number percentage, but she will throw a buck fawn the next year if she was bred.
Yep. Yeah. First year fawns that are bred will generally throw one fawn that breeding cycle, and in 80% of the time, or 85% of the time, it's a buck.
Right.
And you take that and you look at a young doe taking care of a young buck fawn versus a matriarch doe that's got twin doe fawns. Who's going to get the better food source? The matriarch doe, because she's going to run the younger ones off. And so who's going to get more food? The twin doe fawns versus that young buck fawn, because he's off over here getting the less forage.
Right, and you can see it in the social network when you see them out there. You can tell which one is a buck.
And it goes with food plots as well. They talk about proximity of food source compared. There's a correlation between predation and food plots, because a food plot, mama doe keeps her fawns close, gets her food to make milk quickly because there's an abundance of food in one spot, and gets to tend back to her fawns more frequently to keep predators away, versus a doe that's having to feed in natural browse and pick a little here, a little here, a little here, a little here. It takes her longer to feed to get enough food to make the milk to go back to feed her buck fawn.
Because she needs 5 pounds a day, right?
So where's predation more likely going to happen?
Exactly. Denny Steiner, we are, as responsible hunters, are going to have to step up, take more deer, and there are lots of non-hunting families that need the meat.
Absolutely.
For sure. That's
Take it to your local food bank.
food bank. I don't know the name of it here in Michigan. Hunters for the Hungry, maybe.
Yep.
Something like that.
Something like that.
You can donate deer. There's also wild game dinners that need donations of meat to provide for. I know there's a local church that asks for donations of deer meat so they can have a wild game dinner.
Local food pantries.
So they can send their youth groups on their trips.
Yep.
You know, it just we have a resource here that we can spread to the non-hunters and use for various reasons. But you're right, Denny.
Well, you know, from what I say, this time of year is for me, it's all about fitness. I'm into fitness. I'm into fitness deer into my freezer. And then into my belly.
Oh, Lord, I knew where that was going as soon as you said it. I'm like, oh, here it comes. But, yeah, you're right. And, you know, it's a great video. I like it. We'll make sure to post it up on our Facebook page.
I've been critical of the DNR,
Well,
but here lately I'm starting to see steps in the right direction.
Here's the thing. First complaint in how many years we've been together doing the show, how come we can't be like Illinois,
Yeah.
Indiana?
Yeah.
All these other states have this mandatory deer check.
Now we got it.
We got it now, and okay, guys, well, pick your reason why I'm not going to do it. But you know what? This is what you've asked for. So this is year 1 of the mandatory side. Last year was just it's here. This year it's now mandatory.
There's always going to be naysayers.
There always will be. In 3 years, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I know there's some bad taste in a lot of people's mouths from what they've done, but a lot of that, is it in their control? Yes. So
A lot of it comes from above. A lot of it comes from the appointed people on the
There
NRC
you go.
Commission who set the rules. So
there you go. So stay tuned. We might do a little experiment in December with exactly what you said. If we can
Yeah.
kind
I-
of go in.
I'd just like to see.
I'll have to look at the app a little bit and see if we can't mess around with dates and get that information. If not, I'll just reach out to Chad to say, hey,
Yeah.
you know, can I have a couple of dates of information? I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Well, and like I said, we can screenshot it too. So, you know, we
Right.
can kind of figure it out.
I hope I'm busy and I won't be able to screenshot it with my.
I'm talking before first light.
Oh, okay.
Not while I'm sitting in the stand aiming down the barrel at a big 10-point.
What?
Come on, man.
Right?
All right. I
Hold
tell
on,
you,
I gotta take my
Yeah.
screenshot.
we're going a little long here, so we're going to step out, take
All
our
right.
last break. We'll be right back after this. All right, folks.
All right, folks. Last segment of the show. What an interesting show we've had tonight. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes our what we think are going to be interesting shows, not interesting, turn out to be
Well,
interesting for the mind.
I've really been wanting to do the video with audio, and I know I can do video. That's not a problem, but the audio has been, and I finally figured out how to do that. And I wanted tonight to try it because there was no pressure. We didn't have a guest
Right.
on, you know, so I just wanted to make sure that everything kind of rolled smoothly. It's hard to test some of this stuff. I mean, we rely on everybody out there watching
Well,
to
that
kind of give
and
us some
it's not.
feedback.
If we can get a little testing that we do, Tammy, excited for the earlier data to see what rules and regs are changed due to that data. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting now into next year to see what they say comes out of our first mandatory deer year.
There you go.
So,
All right.
all right.
Here we go. All right, we're back. Last segment of the show. We ran a little bit long in segment 1, segment 2, and we went real long in segment 3. So we're going to keep this one to about 5 minutes here. And we'll
Right,
wrap up.
exactly. And, you know, we're coming out of, we talked just a little bit about everything. Fishing illegally and getting charged. Actually, 2 fishing illegalies.
Even managed to fit NASCAR in there.
Yeah, we got to talk about NASCAR. You know, right down to the DNR and the new app.
Well, speaking of hunting season,
So speaking of that, it was interesting. I ran into this problem, and I kind of get it, and I don't kind of get it. But anywho, I'm still trying to figure out why it didn't happen. But I went to go get my fall turkey permit.
you told me about this last week.
Over the counter,
Yeah.
and I knew I had it right here on my phone. It says I was successful in getting my Unit M.
Okay, so it said you were successful for the draw. You
Yep.
needed to purchase your license.
Yep. I'm like, all right, cool. Just do it over the counter. The gentleman looked it up. Says, nope, they're sold out. I said, but I get one. He goes, well, you can't select it. I can't give you one. I'm like, huh.
You were one of the ones that was selected, but you just didn't get it because it was grayed out.
Yeah,
their system.
in the system at the store, it was grayed out.
Okay, so he
And so
it couldn't be selected.
So here's the thing. I gave him my license, so he knew that the computer knew who it was talking about.
Right.
I'm like, all right,
So it should have opened up.
that's what I would have thought. So I came home, and I went online with my account, went there, fall turkey, add to cart, boom, $20, and
You bought it.
4 days later, I had it in the mail.
Okay, so you got your tag in the mail.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you had it on your app.
Well, I said successful.
Yeah.
Well, and I was successful, and now I've purchased it.
Do you have a virtual license on your
You know,
app?
well, let's take a look.
Because
and see.
I think it's supposed to have them in the app as well.
Is it?
If you log in and sync it to it, I think it resyncs and puts all your licenses in there. Is the way I think that works. Because my fishing license is in mine. So
Is it?
yeah. So that's part of this new app, part of the new deer reporting process for those of us here in the state of Michigan.
There it is.
Yeah, see, there you go. See, they can scan that QR code
Yep.
with their scanner and actually verify that you've got your license. So, just another thing that they've done that I think helps, but somewhere along the way, there's a glitch in the system where you couldn't buy it in the store.
Right, and I would have to have been right next to the guy to see what he was clicking on.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was just one of those moments. It was like,
And something else I learned today, speaking of hunting this year, if you're in the state of Michigan and you're going to be trapping or hunting bobcat, you need to get your bobcat tag by Monday the 24th is the last day to apply.
really?
And that's just a tag. There's no charge for it, but it's a tag that allows you, that they put on the pelt, I believe.
Oh,
on the
okay.
skull, if I remember right. But
So-
you got to have that with you when you're hunting. So it's not it's part of the license,
Okay.
but it's a separate tag. So
It's one of those things that just keep on the regs and rules and regs, folks. You don't want to end up whether I know we all do things legally, but there's out there that you might miss it, you might skip it.
yeah, and
Well,
the
'cause that
thing-
was frustrating about the turkey one, right?
right.
And
Well,
like-
it's just like your zone up there about hunting does this year. You have to apply for a permit to get a antlerless license to hunt doe in your area. But in the same breath, I could use one of my combo tags, my buck tags,
yes,
as a doe tag in any area.
that is correct.
I looked
So-
that up in the book the other day, and I'm like, yeah, right here it says in that area. I can,
Archery, you can use your combo tag in archery for 2 does.
yeah, if you want to.
I can use a universal deer license. Nope, I can't because I wasn't selected to.
But you can use your archery tag.
But I can use my archery tag.
combo
But I
tag.
can use, well, it just so happens a mile down the road I can use my universal antlerless. But
Yeah, right.
it's just like,
To me, that's confusing.
it was very, I had to literally, like you did, I sat there and I almost had to map it out in my head.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I can't use it here, but over here I can. That's what it says.
But I can also use this tag here.
Right. I'm like,
It just, to me, it's convoluted. You're getting to the same point, but you got to read between the lines as to which tag to apply.
and literally it could be a very gray area. It literally, if you don't sit down and read that, and if I wrongly tag the deer,
Mhm.
and they say, hey, where did you shoot this? I'll be like, oh, right here. And they'll be, well, no, you can't use that there. I'll be like, uh-oh.
Yeah, you had to use one of your other tags.
Right. So
To me, that's just it's a recipe for disaster.
it is. We'll trust me. We're probably gonna have that when we're up hunting in November and we're shooting does. Just everybody make sure they're using the right doe tag
Yep.
or not or whatever's going on.
Exactly.
Like you said, you gotta have the bob tags. Just use the right tag.
There you go.
So,
Anything else for the show tonight?
No, not really. Let's see. No more comments, so we're good there.
We're caught up on everybody here. So
yeah, we're
next week.
Next week we're still open. We've got we might reach out to a couple people. Let's see if we can't. If anybody follows Buck Baits on Facebook, there was a nice buck shot
Muskegon County.
in Muskegon County. Nice
Using Buck Baits
using
products.
Buck Baits and JPO.
There you go.
So, all right.
2 of our supporters here.
Right, exactly. So, but other than that, on to Halloween.
Well, I'm gonna hopefully be sitting in a tree stand at sunrise Saturday morning,
There you go.
and hopefully I'll be looking to fill the freezer.
Well, you just had your last deer steak today.
Yeah, big shout out to Nancy. My girlfriend fixed the last of our deer steaks that we had from past season. For those of you who may or may not remember, we had 2 deer last year. Had one made full made into summer sausage. The other one we took and packaged everything up, and we had the last of the steaks she cooked last night, and there was enough left over that I had for lunch today at work, and everybody's mouth was watering. They come in. I had it sitting in the control room, and I'm starting to eat, and I had 2 people come in. What smells good in here? And I'm like, it's deer steak.
Steak and potatoes.
That's deer steak? Man, that smells good. I go, it is.
It is
And I
good.
get out.
Right?
So,
And
but she can cook. Oh man, she can cook.
there you go. So get outside if you can. The weather's kind of doing whoop-de-doos. 40s today, 70s this weekend. Just get outside, enjoy.
I hope it's not that warm this weekend up north. It's supposed to be 60 to 65 at our place. That was 2 days ago. So hopefully the weather holds. This front's going to push out of the area Friday. So Saturday morning, I'm hoping that the deer got the feeding bags on or on the move.
For you here, it's going to be Saturday 72, Sunday 75.
Yeah, here, but I'm talking 200
Right.
miles north.
Well, that's you know what that ends up
Or
being.
150 miles north anyway. So
Right. So get outside, folks. Enjoy it. We're gonna have daylight savings coming up, aren't we? 2 weeks.
I think so. Right around the 1st of November, I think, sometime in November.
All right. It's pretty dark in the morning.
Yeah, so and if you guys are getting out, getting in the woods, everybody, please put your harness on, use your climbing gear to get up safely, and when you're in your tree stand, strap in. So
And identify your targets, please.
Yep.
There's been some interesting, every year we get it.
Yep.
So and so got shot, and how'd they get shot? Well,
Yep.
they didn't know.
what their target was.
Right. So if you get out there, get outdoors, just shoot straight, be safe.
And we'll see you again next week, 7:30. Y'all take care.